You hate ads? I hate ads. You know what I like? Patreon.com/inkdependence keeps this channel ad-free. Hello folks, welcome to Inkdependence. I'm Mike, and this is our last ink from Narwhal, or Nahvalur. That is the new name of Narwhal. They changed that a little while back for search engine optimization reasons and also sort of copyright reasons, because they couldn't copyright an animal is what I hear. So this is Narwhal Explorer Dark Forest, and this is a really nice green, and it's one of my favorites of the set. They all come in these nice little glass bottles. This is a 20 ml bottle, and they go for 12 bucks. Thank you very much to Narwhal for giving me this for a review. So there you go. That's the bottle and such. Let's look at it on some paper here. This is the paper that I've started using for review. This is Nebula Casual Note, 90 grams per square meter. A little bit heavier than the Rhodia, a little less coated, but excellent for fountain pens. Check this out wherever you can find Colorverse stuff or Nebula stuff. And as you can see here, this is a very nice sort of dark green. Not a super dark green, but a pretty dark green. It's not like a green black or anything like that. It's straight up green, but it is a very nice green. You get a little bit of shading. The flow dry-ish, just like the rest of these Narwhal inks, but you got to put them in the right pen, and I think that's what I did here on the first try because I had experience with the other three. Quality's a little bit of shading, and it is pretty darn decent on copy paper, as we will see. The pen I've had it in is this one. This is a Schon Design full-size fountain pen, and this is the Cheerio Water Bus colorway that I sold a little while ago that Ian made for me. Gorgeous pen, and it is fitted with the Monoc nib that I bought from him, which is an absolute banger of a nib, but a very wet nib. And so I'm like, let's put this kind of dry ink brand in this very wet nib and see what we get. And what we get is kind of the perfect balance for this pen. We'll stick it in our little Shiba Inu's mouth. He'll hold it for us there. So here it is. I mean, it looks great. I just knew it needed a wet nib. By this point, I knew that that was going to happen. And I put it in the right nib, and away I went. I've refilled this pen several times, and that's because this pen drinks ink, but also I actually really like using this ink in this pen. So just goes to show, even if an ink is not necessarily to your taste in other pens, when you find the right nib and combination for it, it can be really great. So definitely check this stuff out. 12 bucks is not bad for these little bottles, and I think this one is the best balance of color and qualities and that sort of thing. So let's do our water test, and then we'll look at it on some other papers and next to some other inks, etc. Let's go ahead and get this on here. I'm really impressed with this, with this paper. It's really taken water tests very well, and it has worked with every single fountain pen ink that I have put on it. I haven't had any problems with any ink on this this Nebula paper, which is pretty darn impressive. All right, let's go ahead and mop this up. That should be an interesting leave behind. You can see a lot of the green came up, but also you can see this is totally readable still, and that's because it leaves behind a gray. We'll see another ink that has this quality very soon, likely, where it leaves behind a whole different color. So is it water resistant as a green? No, but as a gray? Yeah, if you dump your water or whatever on this, you are absolutely going to be able to recover your writing, although it will look different. So that's a thing to be aware of. Here is what the chromatography looks like for this, and so we shouldn't be surprised about this gray. Look at this strong gray line left behind, and a bunch of gray moved, but a lot left behind, and then yellow, green, and blue bands. Really interesting. Also a different gray up here. This is a cool ink with a lot of layers. So yeah, if you have a pen that's really, a nib that's really wet, I would say grab yourself some of this Dark Forest. I think it's my favorite of the group. And so I saved it for last because wow, it's really cool looking. All right, here it is on the copy paper. This is our 20-pound, 30% recycled Staples copy paper. And as you can see, it is not perfect, but remember, this is a very wet nib, and it's fairly broad and very wet. And even with a dry ink, it was really it was going. And so a little bit of bleed through here, but it's actually not bad. It's, on par with the rest of these, and this is a much wetter nib. So I think if you used a nib that was less wet than this Monox, or something more average or on the wet side of average, you would have no problem at all with copy paper. So that's pretty cool. And where I did reverse writing, yeah, no problem at all. And that makes it and that's a pretty fine nib when I flip the nib over. So yeah, real nice. Here it is on Domtar Bold 28, which you can't really get anymore, unfortunately. But it looks really nice on here. I think it's a good green. You still get some shading and such. Every once in a while, I would flip the nib over. So this is the back side of the nib, which is much drier. And I wasn't getting nearly as much flow, but you know, it's still definitely readable and an interesting color. And you flip it back over and you get like, you know, some shading and some nice dark foresty green. Good stuff, Dark Forest. Next up, Tomoe River in my Galen Leather Co. Everyday book, and there it is right there. Looks really nice on Tomoe River. Good shading, a little bit of shine off it. I wouldn't say sheen, but a little bit of shine, and yeah, gives you all those nice green shades from that dark forest. Lastly, for our papers, this is currently inked. This is my Inky Fingers notebook, and this is wheat straw paper. This is more or less like sugarcane, so if you're looking for this kind of stuff, look for a sugarcane paper. And here it is much lighter, which is interesting. I think it just, yeah, I don't know. It did a different thing. It's kind of interesting how inks react with papers sometimes. I think this is where it looks the least good, but also you get the most shading. So that's really interesting, and I'm not sure why it does that, but it did. So there you go. All right, let's look at some color comparisons. These are Colodex cards. You can find these at the link in the description from Well Appointed Desk. These are the gold standard for me for ink swatch papers. They are great, and there you go. You can see all the nice, interesting shading and deep colors there. We've got here Pelikan Edelstein Olivine, which I think is fairly close, although I think it leans more cold. It's more emeraldy over here, which kind of looks like, I don't know, a dolphin going or something. Then we have here Diamine Green Black, which I think is more blue, is even more blue. It's darker than this, but I think it's more blue. And then lastly, for our little color cards here, we have Monteverde's Jade Noir, which I think is fairly close, but again, leans more cold, leans more blue. Interesting, huh? Then we have Private Reserve Avocado, the new formula with the corrected spelling of avocado. If you want this kind of color, but like, maybe it was a little bit more green, a little warmer, a little more yellow, and way more flow. This is a wet ink, so this is fairly dry. This one's definitely on the wet side. If I put this on in the Monoc, it would probably just fall right out. Like, it is too wet for that nib, I am sure. But a great color. And then Diamine Salamander, which is much more brown, much more gray. I love this weird murky swamp color, but yeah, it's not like this. I think this is as close as we're gonna get for this one. This is Monarcha Mongolar, which is mangrove, and this one is it's not the same color. I don't have anything that's just exactly the same color as this, which I think is neat. Like, is this the closest? No. I don't know. I don't really have anything that's exactly like this, which is neat. I have a lot of greens and I don't have anything to match it. So yeah, I don't know. I thought Mangalore was going to be closer actually when I first glanced at it, but it kind of isn't. Neat. All right, folks, y'all check out these Narwhal inks wherever you find them, and you know, hit that subscribe button, because according to this graph, some of y'all are still not subscribed, and I know you want to be. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and you know, I'll see you in another video very soon. Peace out.